Namaste and welcome to another episode of the Amazing Vedas with Dr. Pariksith Singh. Thank you, Dr. Singh, for joining us. And please tell us something about the mother of gods. Is that possible? Aditi.
The mother of gods. The whole idea is so contradictory by itself that we must understand. Because the moment we say she's the mother of the universe, we are already in the mother of the universe, which means she is referencing to herself through us, being the mother who is embracing all of us. So be aware of this very interesting kind of a unit that has popped out of the infinite, that is awake and enlightened and is able to reflect on itself and calling its own infinity the mother of everything. It's like number 7 comes out and says, okay, let me look at the numbers from minus infinite to positive infinite, and now I'm going to point out and I'm going to analyze it.
In a way, I don't want to interrupt, but it's really very important what you said, because this whole quest for the first cause was a big bugbear in Western theology that
Yes.
who created God? If God created everything, who
Right.
created God? And the Nasadiya Suktam, it actually asks that question: what was there before?
Yes.
So please carry on with your explanation or exposition of what came before. What came before?
So our mind is only a very small wavelength of that infinite awareness, trying to reflect and show us the infinite awareness through its narrow band. It's like you take a spectrum and the pink color or whatever. No, sorry, pink is not in the spectrum, but say blue is trying to show all the 7 colors in the blue band. It's impossible. It can't. And maybe if the blue color is aware itself, maybe it'll say maybe there are other colors, but it can't describe them because its very nature is blue. See the limitation of our ability even to conceive of that which is beyond conception. So having said this, given this disclaimer, Aditi is fabulous. Adi is the beginning. Adi and Ti is original light. So Aditi, the original light, the original being, the original truth, the womb of everything.
The matrix.
The matrix that pervades everything. It's really fabulous, because the moment we say that, we say that Aditi is right here. That divinity is right here, even in this dense matter, even in this mind, even in this speech, even in this laptop and this podcast and you. This is all Aditi. And that is the beauty of Aditi. Now, the Veda, of course, being the Veda, confuses us and throws some googlies, because Aditi gives birth to Daksha. Daksha, as you know, even now in English, dexterity, right? That which has ability, fineness. Daksha is the mind that can analyze, that can reflect. Now, Aditi gives birth to Daksha, who can understand, like us, we are ability to conceive. Then she is born out of Daksha. Then Daksha gives birth to Aditi, which we are giving conceptually. We are giving birth to Aditi. It can get confusing, but it shows you a profound truth. Aditi gives birth to the reasoning intelligence, which gives birth to Aditi. And that's how the Vedic genius works.
It's so fabulous because the same word gives us doxa,
Right.
orthodoxy, for example, heterodoxy. And we are
Dogma.
so doxed. We are
Yes.
so doxed with doxa that we are not getting Aditi back. We've just got trapped in the mind. And that's why the Vedic is so important, because it just flips that switch. And, we've talked about it, Dr. Singh, but at the quantum level, we really don't know where a particle is at any given time unless you start looking for it, and when we look at it, then we are fixing it. It can be in any multi position, multi dimension. And see how we are constantly prejudicing and limiting reality because of our own mental directionality or construct. So Aditi can be, as you rightly said, a very liberative force. So here's where I wanted to ask you another question, which links to our earlier podcasts. Now, you know, modern methods of worship, right? You go to a church or you go to a place and maybe you kneel down or you chant some mantras, you stand in front of an altar, and we really don't know what the Vedic modes of worship were. We know, in a sense, that Swami Dayanand Saraswati, he gave us a new Vedic, where you do a havan, you do a vidhi, whatever you do at home, you have a Agni Kund and all that. But I think that you invoke the gods and goddesses yourself, as we've been talking, because before every episode, we're actually thinking about these forces. So, what's a simple way for Gen Z to get connected with Aditi?
I'm going to take help from the Ribhu Gita, which is
Oh,
totally Shiva, right? Shiva is the male consciousness. And there is a statement which is an extreme, even more extreme than Ashtavakra Gita, because Ribhu Gita says everything is Shiva. That means there is no one to meditate, there is no one to do any yoga, there is nothing to be accomplished, and everything is as is. In fact, even talking about it is talking against Shiva. So you don't talk. Now, let's come to Aditi. If Aditi is everywhere and all is a manifestation of that beautiful original energy, then where do I pinpoint what can be the way to worship her? That can come from love, that can come from work and surrender, that can come from knowledge, that can come from repeating, chanting, music. Where do we put a kind of a silo? And so she just takes you out of your own limitation into a grand space. In fact, um, it is so grand that Sri Aurobindo says something beautiful. No matter how intelligent we are or how sharp, fast we think, we will always be exceeded by the Divine Mother. And so we need to realize our limitation. I think the most beautiful thing is to have the awe of her, the fabulous mystery of the divinity that is around us, that holds us like a womb, that is always protecting us, always nourishing us. And in that unity, if we can capture even a moment of that unity that is always with us and keeping us together, then maybe that is the first opening to that fabulous vision of Aditi. I don't know if that answers your question.
I think yes, it's an invitation to, as it were, experiment with different modes of being connected with a power or energy which is bigger, it would appear, than ourselves, though we are everywhere too. But as you said, Ribhu Gita, who worships whom? Where is the distinction between worshipper and worshipped?
Yes.
But as it were, that's why, in a way, undoing is more important in these matters than doing, because
Yes.
it's really taking out. Someone asked Ramana Maharishi, like, how does the light come in? He says the light is always there. You just remove all the junk in the room, which is obstructing the light.
Yes.
But let's get back to Aditi. Who is Diti then? There is Aditi and
Yes.
there is Diti. What's the relationship between Aditi and Diti?
Yes. So the common misconception or common conception is that Aditi is only a plus Diti, not Diti, right? Sri Aurobindo explained it beautifully that the root, the dhatu of Aditi is different from the root of Diti. Very, very interesting because they're not in opposition. We think Aditi and Diti are in opposition, but Aditi cannot be in opposition to anything. She is the original, right? Now, Diti is one aspect of Aditi. It's born out of Aditi. And that's the Vedic genius again. Diti, the root is the, right? Di is duality, which Diablo, right? Doubt. Wherever there's duality, these issues come up. Where we live, our normal consciousness is duality, is dual. In the Vedic insight, wherever there is duality, the flow of the order of the universe, rhythm, is diffracted, is not happening smoothly. And the whole purpose of the rishis, if there is a purpose, is to rediscover that original light, that original immortality, that original truth. So Diti is a state of fragmentation, of division, of duality, of you and I, us and them, right? I and the other, like you said, the othering. Othering happens because there is an I that I have to protect. If I have an I to protect, then guess what? Everything else, I have to bring it down so that I go up, and I have to, whatever is inconvenient, whatever challenges my limitation, then that's dangerous, that's hurtful, that's painful. So I bury it, either using my ego that this is all wrong, this is false, or by not considering it. Out of Diti come her children, the Dasyus, the Danavas, the Pishach, the Asura, the negative forces, or the dark side of the force, as we have in the Star Wars movie. And the dark side of the force creates that that break in life, that break in the harmony or the order of the universe.
No, that's wonderful, because very well put, because there's so much confusion. As you said, Aditi comes closer to Adya, to the origin, to the original, that kind of
Yes,
thing.
yes,
And Diti is a kind of, as you said rightly, that which introduces fragmentation or the break in that unity, the original unity. And you see that persisting, Advaita, Dvaita and Advaita. So Diti and Aditi, and it is in a way the cancelling of Dvaita, which is our daily experience, which suggests that original completeness of Advaita. But in Aditi and Diti, it's a little different, because you know you're not starting with Diti, you're starting with Aditi.
right,
And it is
right,
Aditi who is the mother of everybody, including
right,
the Adityas.
right.
All the Adityas. We talked about the collective deities, the Vasus, the Maruts, and the Adityas. There's so many Adityas.
Yes,
And of course, Aditya refers to the sun, but there are so many suns, as the
yes,
Veda tells us. Like we know, there are so many galaxies. Milky Way is just one of them, and there's so many suns, and so there's so many kinds of consciousness as well. So I think this is a wonderful way to not see them as always, contrarian, but to see that the Veda is always suggestive of how we can reconnect with the, original unity. And in that sense, uh, Aditi is that which reminds us of who we really are. We are really a part of this wondrous cosmos, and as you said, to retain some sense of that wonder and joy and simplicity and happiness, you know, it doesn't require some solemn forms of, worship or prayer or fear. There's so much fear. Modern life is characterized by so much fear and so much anxiety. And I think that if we only see the world, if we only see the universe as being not so hostile to us, in fact, to be, a matrix from which everything comes. We come from that same matrix, isn't it? So
yes,
Aditi is that matrix. She's the mother of everything, right?
yeah,
Of you know, both the challenges as well as the opportunities. So, some concluding thoughts on the origin of things, of the magna mater, if you will.
So always in Sanskrit, an a sound is considered the beginning. And any if you start a great work of literature, you start with a. For example, the Veda starts with agnimi ide, a. Aditya or Aditi starts with a. If you even in Gita shlok, chapter 2, 11th shloka, ashocyan anvashochastvam starts with
Uh,
a. A is the beginning, and a is anuttara. A is that which behind which there is nothing. So a is also considered equivalent to
alpha,
Shiva.
alpha and
Alpha,
omega.
Aleph, Be, Pe. A. So this is a is the sound, and that's where Aditi comes from, and we have to understand that. But Aditi is not just a concept. Aditi is a realization. Aditi is always here to help us constantly, and we have to just learn to connect back to that Aditi. If we can connect to her, whichever way we see her, we can see her as Mahakali, we can see her as Saraswati, we can see her as Maheshwari, we can see her as Mahalakshmi. You can see her as the Madonna, the Divine Mother. There are these symbols are in almost every culture, and you can connect with that feminine intimacy which is there always to protect you. In fact, yourself is a manifestation of that which is we call the Divine Mother. So all we have to do is find that connection, and that connection is the most beautiful realization, most beautiful perception, and our salvation. If there is any such thing, then that is the salvation. Connecting back to our root, the divine within, who is always there. Yes, it's always there holding us, but it's always good to go back to it, and just that is the perfect rest, the perfect peace, and the perfect joy.
Thank you. That was so well put. Aditi is not a concept but a realization. So, with those words, thank you for joining us, viewers, and please like, share, and subscribe to this channel, the Auroveda channel, as well as follow us on X, on Twitter, where you find, what should I say, inspiring tidbits which connect us back to our real nature. Thank you, Dr. Singh, and namaste.
Namaste.